Hey, doing a little work on CastleMiner Z today. Oh, somebody said they'd give me $100 if there was a Diet Coke Easter egg. We might have to make that happen. I'm sure there'd be a lawsuit involved somewhere. Is there a way to donate to this? We should really set that up. I think I'm going to set up a Patreon this week. I'm thinking about delaying the Kickstarter till later in the project. Typically, we've never really asked for donations before, so this is kind of a foreign thing for us. A lot of people donate through YouTube, through the streams. It's helpful for us. Like every dollar that we get goes right to the game and is very useful to us. We're used to working on very small budgets. Coca-Cola lawyer is already reviewing the comments. Yeah. What I have today planned for today is kind of boring. Just heads up on that. We're doing some like real legit game development today. I'm doing work on how the dungeons get integrated. I'm trying to have a cohesive way for the dungeons to be integrated into the game, and there's a lot of like technical details about this, and I'm just gonna go do it. And I'm trying to explain what I'm doing as things go along. Let me try to explain this on a high level before I get into it. The world is divided into these chunks. Typically, we generate the world in big vertical segments. I got some Diet Coke on the screen here. It seems to happen from time to time. So, like under here there's a nice pencil here. Hell is down here. There's the different layers, the ground, towers, whatever. What I'm going to do here is generate a... right now I have our dungeon code, and we did that in one of the other streams. And what I'm going to do here is I want it so that I can just kind of like throw a dungeon in here and throw a dungeon in here and throw a dungeon here and maybe one across here, all through this vertical section of the world. And I realize what I need to do is I need to essentially calculate a dungeon for every vertical slice of the world potentially, and then use them as needed. So when I have this done, I should be able to have like stacks and stacks of dungeons throughout the whole game, anywhere I need them, which would be useful in some places, because one of the things I want to do is have large towers that are dungeons that have stuff at the top of them. And this is kind of like a standard way of doing that. So let's get right to this. It's our dungeon builder class is in here, and the first thing that has to happen, I already did a little bit of work on this, where we have I feel so weird giving tutorials on this because I am so not familiar with Unreal, and I haven't done C++ programming since I was like 25. So it's a struggle for me. So I'm learning here while I'm doing this live, which is sort of the worst conditions to ever be doing something like that into. But anyways, the first thing we need here is there's some logic that we need to get working here. I need a mutex in here to facilitate the multi-thread. Everything we do is multi-threaded, so this is one of the places where I'm going to actually run into this. Each builder needs a, instead of this generated flag, we need a mutex in here. Hopefully this will work. And in our dungeon builder, where we generate the dungeons, we have to use this here. This is coming here out of this is the multi-threaded version of this. Oh. Excuse me. Okay. Actually would like to know if that compiles first. Oh, we got to move this in the world builder. Okay, so right now this can just be a normal for loop. Crap, God, I hate this IDE. This is generating a different seed for every dungeon from the ground to the ceiling. It turns out to be 42, which is that weird magic number, which is interesting to me. But we are no longer using the parallel 4. This should build. If it doesn't build, I'm going to have some other problems. What was the first game I ever made? Oh, wow. So, while this is building, we get to go into story time. When I was 5 years old, my dad taught me how to program games, or to program computers. And when I was 6 years old, I made a text-based adventure game. I made 2 or 3 of them. And I tried to release them, but it was the 1980s and it was hard to do. So it was this very like dungeon crawlery text-based adventure game, and I think I made it because one of the only games we had on the computer at the time period was I think it was Zork it was called, but it was a text-based dungeon crawling adventure game. So I made sort of like a clone of that. And then I continued to make games from the time I was 6 years old up until now, when and I'll be 50. I'm just here next month. So yeah, my dad was really into the video game industry. A lot of his friends were engineers in the arcade industry back in the 1980s. And there was definitely video games was a big part of our family growing up. So I kind of ran with it, and by the time I was in high school, I was making I was doing some pretty advanced stuff. Like I wrote an AI program in high school to do all my history homework for me, which allowed me to graduate history. I thought I was going to fail up until the last week or two. And I wrote this AI program that read the whole textbook and did all my history homework in like 8 minutes. And I passed history, and I was able to graduate high school as a result of that. And that was in like 1991 or something like that. Let's just make sure that runs, right? Looks like it. Yeah, my dad was an interesting guy. When I was a kid, he made his own computer. It was the 1970s, and he made one for work and he made one for home, and it was like the size of a refrigerator and had all these buttons and lights on the front of it. And he felt like coding was an important part, would be important for me when I grew up. And he was right. He had a vision for what the future was going to be like, and it was He was absolutely right, and he was one of the biggest supporters of me and my company and the games. There's a new crosshair here. It's pretty cool. Growing, he played my games for thousands of hours. Unfortunately, he died in 2018, and one of the saddest things I think is that he didn't get to see all the AI stuff, which I think would have been like he was. My dad was an engineer, and he would have been was really into technology, and I think he just would have absolutely loved the all the AI advancements, but he never got to see those. Any recommendations for how to get into C++ for Unreal Engine? If you are, I honestly would not pick, Unreal Engine is great. Compared to Unity, it's a much better game engine. But if you're not a programmer already, I probably wouldn't start with C++ in Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine you can program with Blueprint, which is like a visual scripting language, which actually is really good for people who aren't programmers. It's kind of fun to program in. Unity and C# is way easier to do. So usually when people say they want to get into game development, what I tell them to do is just download Unity and go through the tutorials, because you'll have a game out in a short period of time. The reason I would rather be programming this in C# like the other one was, it would have made it easier, but the renderer in Unreal Engine is just so much better than Unity is. Unity's and my experience with Unity after making some big games in it was that nothing really worked together. Like, it wasn't a real game engine, where Unreal Engine is obviously built to make Fortnite, and it's obviously made by AAA game developers who really understand how game engines are supposed to go together. Unity always kind of felt like it was kind of slapped together by a bunch of people who didn't really make games, but imagined what making games would be like. I think that somebody on our team said at one point that it was designed to sell licenses for engines and not for actually making games. Will there be the double jump still? Probably not. Probably not. Okay, this all works, so let's get back into it. Try to think of the best way to test this. You know what I should do here is I should build a helper function here that gets me the dungeon and makes sure that it's created at the same time. Yeah, let's do that. This is where I get where I'm struggling with C++ here, is that it used to be like C++ has changed a lot over the years, so I'm not really sure exactly how I should be structuring things, which can, on a big project, can get you in a lot of trouble. I'm not really sure if this is supposed to be. This actually be a good grok question. In fact, I'm going to do that. This is a really good use of AI, because I really don't know what the right way to do this is. And having authority on it. Oh, that doesn't actually work. Yeah, that's right. We have to pass the whole array in there. Okay, looks like I actually did that correctly. So oh, somebody's asking about yesterday about the hexagonal world change. So that change only affects the world. I guess I should recap this. Here, let me bring this back up again. Everybody's asking for a Laser Wars remaster. I would love to do a Laser Wars remaster. Please, you guys, make this work for us so that we can continue to do this and make a Laser Wars remaster. Like, it really all depends on you. Like, we can't just do this forever. So let me go back to without your support. So anyways, each of these circles represents one of the entire CastleMiner Z worlds, which is really a hexagonal map, hexagonal grid. So each one of these things, let me select. Yeah, each one of these circles represents a whole world. So it doesn't actually affect the biomes inside the world. Like inside each of these worlds, I should draw some rings here so that you see that what we're talking about is, I'm not this, well, forget it. Each one of these rings represents an entire world. So like here is the tower and out here is like, where the undead dragon is. And these extra worlds are the worlds that you walk into outside of when you have left the world. So when you've gone beyond the final hell, that's where they are. So, so basically, once you've left the world, I think in the end, so before what it was just sort of concentric rings that went on and on and on and on and on forever. And now basically, if you walk far enough, you'll find another tower, and the tower is like a little bit different than before. What this is going to allow me to do is make each one of these worlds completely different from each other. So the world will be like extraordinarily big and different everywhere you go. So it'll be actually kind of fun to explore. And I'm trying to figure out ways right now to make each one of these environments different from each other in dramatic ways. But it doesn't affect the world that you're in. The world is really, really big now. Like we just did some math and we figured where the limits were, and it ends up that the CastleMiner Z world is 3 times the area of the Earth. So, so if you were to like walk off in a direction, you could literally walk. Would be the equivalent of you walking in real time around the entire globe. Somebody made a joke that I'm hex editing, which is a bad pun. Okay, but let's get the dungeons in there. I think that for the most part, like most of the gameplay takes place within one circle. We're looking at other ways to make this interesting. We're traveling to these far off locations might be fun. If you imagine. I have to do the math actually. How many of these would be on our world? It's like where it's at a level of like what's the space game where you can explore the universe forever? Like it's on that level. Like the world is so big that there's no way you could ever travel across it without some sort of quick travel. Even vehicles, you wouldn't be able to. Anyways, let's get back to it. We were going to do the dungeon builder code here. I think this is probably the. It's going to be height. So we have a dungeon height in here. I should probably put this in a generic constant spot. I think I'm going to make all the dungeons the same height. It just makes things easier. What we'll do here is it's going to be index is height divided by dungeon height, which gives us our index, and then we will do dungeons. Can I just index this? This is where it's so frustrating for me because this is stuff that you're supposed to know, like sort of out of the back of your hand. Builder dot ensure generated and return builder. Okay. So now we should be able to get a dungeon for. We've built a seed for these. We've created them all. And now we can make a dungeon for any place that we want to be. Let's start with the place where we actually use this in the desert. this in as a parameter to this. Typically, I've been pretty good at picking up computer languages like this, like definitely. Yeah, it's not what I wanted. Okay. That's what we need there, and there should be an error down here now, which is the definition that we needed. And somewhere around here I thought we did the, oh no we don't. We do it in the build tomb column. Where does that? I should rethink this. Somebody's asking me what I think about. Oh, thank you so much for the. Oh wow, donation. Sorry, totally missed that. Somebody's saying to add Yetis. Yeah, we're definitely not doing it on this stream. No Man's Sky, that was the game, the name I was thinking of. Yeah, that was, I couldn't remember. Love procedural games. I think that their procedural stuff is so cool. How much knowledge do I have on blueprints in Unreal Engine? It's very minimal. It's very minimal. I've done some stuff, but it's minimal. Let's fix this up. I've got to see where I make these tombs. I put the tombs in the desert, and maybe this is not the right way to do this. Build. On top of this, I'm dealing with an IDE that I don't particularly like. But I'm trying to be consistent here with all the Unreal development. How do we do this? We build a tomb column in the desert. Yeah. Oh, this is interesting. At a particular location. This takes our dungeon and turns it into one of the Egyptian tombs, which I've been using to build this stuff out. I'm wondering if this needs to, it does things like decides where lava and pillars and things like that should go, which could be different for different types of dungeons. But now, I mean, I guess there's no reason why this needs to work like this. Okay, or doesn't or can't work like this. So let's see. Where we do this. Yeah, okay, so here's what we'll do. Let's make the dungeons be 4 levels in the desert. So what we can do is go, just make 4 of these. Get dungeon builder. This is interesting when you have to use your own interfaces. I don't know why we would need the X and the Z because of where it is. Yeah. Tension height and that probably could work differently. Let's just see if this works. Somebody's asking if we'll be able to get the original CastleMiner Z on consoles just for players to hold us up. No, absolutely not. This is the whole reason we're doing this right now. Do we plan on making other dimensions? Yeah, that's one of the things that we've talked about. Yeah, the reason why we're doing all this is because the original CastleMiner was written in a way where it was very difficult to get onto consoles. It's one of the reasons why we never did it. So the whole point was to redo it in a game engine. And if we were going to redo it in a game engine, we wanted to make sure that it was like newer. So we're taking advantage of that. And if we did it in Unity, it was going to end up looking a lot like it did before. So we got a bad compile here. Okay. What is the... What does this not like? What do we screw up here? With the unique pointers. know what one of the really useful things is if you just feed this back into the AI, it will tell you exactly what to fix. Oh, yeah, that's no good. Okay. Yeah. This is one of the way that you pass data around ends up becoming like a big deal. So let's put that there. And do we have that in the... We do the ensure built. Let's make sure that we... Yeah, that's the other place we need that. Almost sure there's going to be errors here. Okay, I guess not. Okay. Let's see if that actually worked. If this works, we should have layers of dungeons inside of the... Not that we would keep this, but it would... It's there for the test. Let's go out to like 1700. Dig down. Oh, this is new. This is new. These are our glow sticks. I've not actually seen this yet. This came from John this afternoon. Oh, I gotta have a way to test this where it is cool, right? Like for the first time. Cool. That totally works. Oh my god, we gotta play with this. This is gonna be cool. I wanted these in here for a lighting thing, and I wanted to have them be craftable in different colors as a way to like probe into deep places. This is something I wanted in the original CastleMiner game really bad, and we never ended up getting around to it, but they're pretty badass. So everybody's seeing this with me for the first time. That's cool. Man, it was super cool of him to put this in. Like, if I don't want to see what's in this cave here, I can just toss in some glow sticks. We could pretend there were some monsters down there. Oh, you know what? I have the perfect place to test this. Let me teleport over there. There was this cool crater that we ran into the other day. is water in this crater. Like I was talking about how cool it'd be if there was water in the crater. Is that new? Oh, is this because we have the tombs in here? So confused. What's going on? Where did that water come from? Is it comes from the tomb generator? Is a different tomb? Interesting. Okay. This is turning out to be like one of the coolest places in the game. The first thing I see is that my tombs are not showing up the way they should be, but whatever. This one is a little bit too bright because everything hasn't been built in yet. We're still trying to figure out the details of that. Like really good for showing you how deep caves are. I can hold one in my hand. This is what's so hard about doing game development. You end up playing with your own game. This is so fun. Oh, I'm out. Throw some dynamite down there. Trying to do, since a lot of it, we're using this ray trace lighting, so I'm trying to do a lot of stuff that has to do with light in the game. Trying to, so yeah, anyways, let's see if this works, which apparently looks like it didn't. Okay, so this is the first dungeon, and there should be another one under it, and there isn't, so let's figure out why that is. Oh, because we're not putting these in the right place. There we go. I wonder if I could just do a compile in place here. Somebody says it reminds them of Terraria. Terraria was, I always said that my intention for this was a 3D version of Terraria, and I never really got there. And I loved Terraria. I thought it was a great game. So we're in a tomb 1 here. Tomb 2. Yeah. Tomb 3. It's interesting how, you know, the floor stacked like this is kind of a waste. It's not though, because there's these chambers. It's kind of cool actually, like going through these things. There's 5, like going from chamber to chamber. Like that's the floor of one that's been dropped out to another. Door is all screwed up. Is there another one under this? No, it's just the bottom. We're into caves here. So it's cool. So it means anywhere in the game there could be tombs like this. Literally anywhere. So I could randomly stick a tomb, which is one of the things I wanted to do, is stick a tomb onto a into the caves in random places. More areas like this. I guess this is an accident right here, or just a chance thing. In fact, were we at this giant crater again? Let's throw in some glow sticks and see. this is just like a big cave we're in. Holding the glow stick is kind of cool. It gives you this idea that the caves are way, way bigger than they used to be. But anyways, you could see this transition from like if you were just like crawling through this cave, then you would all of a sudden come into this area where there was a small tomb. These tombs are huge, but and then, you know, if there was like a hole in the ceiling, you could end up crawling up to another one. If we go through here, try to do this like you really would, you'd be like, what's up here? Throw up a glow stick. Then you get up here and you realize there was like a bunch of monsters up here. Take out your AK. Yeah, it's pretty badass. Like, I think here we're almost at the top of the exiting back out to like normal caves. Just for kicks, let's make this be like 10 of these instead. I'm just kind of curious to see how the game runs. Doing here? Build. Okay. Whoa. I don't even know what that was. I guess we were underground. It's like super weird. Okay. Let's dive in a hole here. Yeah, this is like the back rooms, man, to an extreme. It's like we're just in layers and layers of liminal caves or tombs. Like it's there's more. It just keeps going. I have dreams like this all the time where I'm inside some sort of office space that I keep climbing through the ceiling and finding myself in another office. I think it's a leftover PTSD reaction from my corporate days. Somebody's saying the tombs contain chests. Yeah, that was actually one of the plans, was to make it be this like, you know, dungeon-y kind of adventure. Man, I could make a game just out of this. We could probably go further down. Yeah, right now we're trying to figure out what to do about the spaces not being closed in. Now we're down in the granite space here. This is a good example of like one of the more interesting caves. I almost want to stop and take screenshots here. We did a lot of work on what the caves were going to look like, and with this light leaking in, it kind of gives you an idea of these big round open spaces with stalactites, and if we crawl up through the holes, we end up I have to find a way to deposit the tombs in the world. Man, I am totally lost. I think I have to go further this way to get back to the caves. Do a little digging. I'm doing cheating digs. I guess I could try pickaxing like you normally would. There's so much clutter in the caves. It doesn't block your player motion though. It's kind of a cool thing to have to deal with. This is one of my favorite parts of what we did. It's like having these things break off. I'm seeing lava. Oh, here we are. Yeah, back into the tombs. Man, it's crazy. It's like an Escher drawing. It's like I imagine like people like walking up like the little stairways in circles. It's like totally crazy here. Let's go down even lower. We can look up through it. Somebody somebody's asking here like what my day job is. This is all I'm good for. This is what I've learned about the world. This is actually a funny story. Like I've been doing game development my whole life. So I went to college, I got out, started doing game development. I worked for Microsoft for a while. The closest I came to I worked in Microsoft Game Studios for a while, and a couple other small game companies. I worked for the Mortal Kombat guys. I think that was a cool experience, like the guys who originally made Mortal Kombat. I was a huge Mortal Kombat fan, so it was such an honor to work with them. I was in Microsoft. I went back to Microsoft and I was in Microsoft Research for a while until they laid me off the second time. But it was game related technology. We were doing learning stuff. And I at one point started a children's game company. And a couple of years ago, I started an AI company. That was sort of like a FinOps company. They're actually doing really well. I left the company. They're doing really well. After Death Toll, I considered going back and trying to find a corporate job, but nobody in corporate America seems to want to have anything to do with me. I think that I'm kind of I think that game development, this is so cool. This is just like a big void in the tombs. Like this is so like backroomy. Like it's so cool. But I realized that like I was not just what I've come to terms with is that I am just not suited for a corporate environment. I have sort of like extreme ADHD and it's really hard for me to concentrate on stuff that's boring. And I have a lot of good ideas for games. So I think this is the only thing that I'm sort of cut out to do. So what I would really love is that me and the rest of the guys work on this could continue doing this, because I think that on all levels we're all kind of the same in that respect. But I just feel like at some point I just gave up. I realized that like I always had this belief, especially when the company was doing really well, that I could sort of like transition into a corporate job and they would be happy to have me, and like that just has not been the case. There's been a lot of companies that want to work with me like over the years. Like I had relationships with big companies like Sony and Warner Brothers. But no one's ever saying like, hey, like come and, do this desk job for us. I don't think I'd last though. I think that the problem is I just like, I'm too opinionated, and I've done a lot of things on my own at this point, and I have a very low threshold for things that are either boring or don't make sense or are just purely political. Like, so if it's any of those things, like I kind of am just the person in the room that is like, hey, why are we doing this? You know, like, and I have a lot of funny stories about being on job interviews where I've asked really uncomfortable questions to the interviewer, and they like immediately lose interest in me. A funny story about that is years ago when I had just started doing this, and I think I had just released Avatar Paintball, which was one of the first XBLIGs that did really well. It's cool. There's a little hole there. I wonder what caused that. And the startup I was working, the kids educational startup company, I just closed, and I went to do a job interview, and I interviewed for a group. The whole story is actually really hilarious because it had to do with there's a backstory of a celebrity game designer that we came to know while we were at Microsoft, and it created these hilarious situations. But I remember I went to the job interview. It was back at Microsoft, and I was doing pretty well doing the indie thing. And one of the interviewers, they were making something for children, but I had just, ran a whole children's game company. So I knew a lot about making and selling games to little kids. And they were doing something on the Xbox for little kids, and I think it was the product manager for the group, and the first thing I asked him was, how do you intend to reach your target market, because these kids aren't on the internet or aren't on the Xbox already, so it was something that we had to deal with at the children's game company, is that little kids can't make purchasing decisions, so you have to sell to the parent, and trying to sell a game to the parent that the kids want to buy is like a complicated, nightmarish mess. So the very first thing I asked him is that, how do you intend to reach your target audience? Because your target audience is not on the Xbox. And I just watched him mentally delete me. Like, he didn't, it was an uncomfortable question for him, and he didn't have an answer for it, and he didn't want me to be asking the question. And this is the way that I get myself in trouble at places like this, because I just don't have the ability to be political. Yeah. So here I am, back here, doing this, which is what I'd rather be doing anyways, to be honest. Somebody's asking if the game is entirely C++ or it's blueprints. You have to have a mix in Unreal. There's certain things you have to do in blueprints, but we're trying to do as much in C++ as possible because the blueprints are really slow. But the guy who's like our technical guy is like the best there is, and is a native C++ programmer. And he's the one that's got the world engine and everything running, and it's super, super efficient. So have a lot of faith in the process here. I could just literally brain rot, just go through these. It's so fascinating to me to go through these dungeons, and just explore things. I should probably do something a little bit more productive here. A lot of positive stuff in the comments here. I really appreciate that. I should really pop over. I don't get the TikTok comments in here, so I should really get over and check some of those. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I guess just for kicks, I should see. Let's expand the dungeons a little bit more and just see how everything runs with Like, let's see if we can make 20 layers of dungeon. Might crash. I'm just kind of getting a judgment of just general performance to see if I should do this. I tend to I'm like our technical guy's worst nightmare, because he gives me like one little feature and then I just like go nuts with it. Like, I'll just make 1,000 of these, like, and he'll come back and be like, I never intended for you to make that many or whatever. Somebody says the lava looks good. I appreciate that. I think that there's a mix. There's 2 different lavas. John did the yeah, too many. This will be fun. What we'll do here is, that sucks, is now I have to like redo this. A rebuild. Can't like do the compile and place build. The good thing is that threading code that we just did works perfectly, so that's really helpful. One of the things that I ran into this is that I wanted when we did the pyramids, I wanted the pyramids to have dungeons inside of them and start to get like kludgy. But this would make this easier now. I think I have to refactor this code. I tend to refactor offline because there's, I think, probably nothing more exciting than watching somebody just refactor code and get the same thing out of the end. But I'm definitely, the other thing too is I want to refactor this so that all of the different worlds in the hex world are different from each other, and I have some ideas about how to do that. Where are we doing the tombs here? Yeah, here. I'll just do 15. Oh, somebody's asking about blueprints, like a game concept of blueprints. Yeah, we've talked about changing the crafting system a little bit. Somebody's saying here that the backstory sounds interesting and it's hard to pursue unless it's hard to get income to sustain. And it is true. It's been a problem for all of us. I mean, I feel like I was really fortunate in the fact that I was able to, that I had you people who made this work out for us. And I know that all of us are incredibly grateful for the fact that you allowed us to be full-time independent game developers, which is like, I think, everybody's dream in the game industry. And I don't know how to talk about how much I appreciate that. Like, the difference that you've made in all of our lives were incredible. But on the flip side, it's hard to make games when nobody wants to nobody wants to buy them. Like, so like Death Toll, for an example, was the first game that we actually really lost a lot of money on, and I think it was the game that we probably had spent the longest period of time on. So everybody right now is a little bit gun shy about going into this again, because nobody knows what the outcome is. But everybody really needs it to succeed. Without going into everybody's story, everybody really, really needs this to work. What you can do to help us is go to Steam and put it on your wish list, because that at least tells us that, you know, there's going to be enough people that are interested in the game when it comes out, and it will make us more confident about working on this. Because right now, nobody has a day job. Like, everybody's working on this full time. Everybody's very nervous, and we all sort of need this to, I love the waterfalls in here. We need this to work. Wow, there's a pool in here, which is not supposed to be. I wonder if that just built up. That's weird, because I don't think the pools aren't actually supposed to be underground like that. I was asked not to put them down there. So interesting. But anyways, if you put us in your wish list, that at least tells us that, wow, that is like totally not supposed to be a thing down here. They actually don't look any that bad though, so I'm wondering if there's that bug is not a thing anymore. There was a issue with the reflections underground. But anyways, go to CastleMinerZ.com, or I'll put the link in the thing here. Follow the links and add us to your Steam wish list. And then buy the game. And then we can keep doing this for you. Otherwise, we can't. Will there be more guns? Yeah, sure. Yeah, the new zombie model. Somebody's asking about the new zombie model. Let's pop one up here. We tried to get the zombie to really maintain the essence of the original Castle. I'm flying in the air here. CastleMiner Z model. I think the artist did a good job. The lighting down here doesn't really do it justice. The animation, the AI is not where it's supposed to be, but it's the look of it is pretty much. I don't think it's going to change very much. Let's get another one to come up. The sound is there. I love when they do that scream. Somebody's asking if we've tried crowdfunding. We'd like to run a Kickstarter, but we have not got around to it yet. Somehow we just had some sort of problem. Everybody's asking about modding, and I think the problem is I don't understand what exactly needs to be done for modding. So if you go to one of the forums, like the Steam forums, and describe how you want to mod the game, it would help us to put that support in. Somebody says they have that OG look. They look great. I appreciate that, because that was a big part of what we were trying to do. We had like super deep dungeons here, right? Is that what we were doing? I would just fall right into hell from the dungeon. Wow, that's cool. Cool. Wow, that was just totally random that we got that to work like that, unless it overwrote the last level. That was cool. Yeah, I think it's going to be fun. I think that this is like just randomly finding stuff like this underground is going to be a cool experience. Last couple days I've been figuring out what's going to happen in Lantern Land. And if you are an OG CastleMiner player, you know exactly what Lantern Land is. But I'm not going to show it on the stream because I think I'm going to leave it to be a surprise. Oh, somebody says you can't hear the game audio. I have it off for the stream. Usually have it off for development in general, just because it's a little bit annoying to hear the same audio over and over and again for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours for months on end. This is cool. We are under the... Is this the desert or the lagoon? Where am I? It's the desert. The sand's coming down. We came up here during the night. Cool. Spawn a bunch of zombies. How does it feel to have fans that love the original happening coming back? I can't appreciate this anymore. I feel like I'm just an extraordinarily lucky human to be able to do this. It doesn't feel real to me. It's never felt real. It always almost feels like it's a video game by itself. The idea that everybody, got to play. We always say this is that the biggest thing for an independent. Here they come. Okay, the biggest thing for a independent game developer is just sort of the love of the craft, and the part of it that's important is that people actually play your games. So, I mean, regardless of anything else, if you make something and nobody actually ends up playing it, it's sort of a horrible thing. So the idea that we can get to make games and people play it, and the fact that people are interested in us developing it, this is funny. That's obviously this will all change before release. Is just magical. So like I can't possibly appreciate things more. These guys they're set on a very. We were actually having a meeting today talking about changing the AI dramatically. Everyone keeps asking about a physical disc. I think that's really unlikely. I don't know. I have to look into it. I don't really know how to do how we would do that. Somebody asked here if we still make money from the original CastleMiner. We do. It's a relatively small amount of money, and right now all of it's going to fund this right now. But again, it's especially in the last few years, I've really appreciated the people that still come back and buy CastleMiner after all these years. I mean, it's obviously not what it was in the originally, but it's still meaningful, and I really, really appreciate it. It's a lot, ultimately that support is sort of what makes this possible. Like if it wasn't for that at all, like it would be very, very difficult to do this. Like right now we're making, decisions about, very efficient, like how to very efficiently use a very, very small amount of money. So having some sort of crowdfunding probably would help us with that. Like we're used to doing things very efficiently, but we're on, in the past we always had games that supported the development of other games, and right now everybody is sort of like, we don't have that right now. So we're trying to make the most out of what we can do. And to me, it's very impressive. I love how the lasers heat the rocks up. It's impressive that we've been able to do as much as we can about this. But I mean, the talent I have is just absolutely top tier people working. Somebody's asking if it's coming to PS5. I don't know. We'll see. Sandworms, that's such a great idea. Someone's suggesting putting sandworms in the game. Huge fan of Dune, so that would be great. Somebody's asking if we have a main menu yet. No, that's kind of one of the last things that we would do. There's an interesting question. Somebody asked, at what point did we decide that the original game was no longer needed to be updated and there was no need to release new things? So here's what happened. We did a lot of work to try to get to Steam, and it was a very difficult path for us. Originally, Steam just flat out rejected us, and then we had done really, really well on the Xbox, and I approached Steam again, and they rejected us again. And then we went to, they told us we could participate in Steam Greenlight, and we kind of started the Greenlight. We were launched with Greenlight.
here's what actually happened: is that the first time we approached Valve to release on Steam, Valve said no, and it's not our policy to tell you why. So after a year of being around, after a year of the game doing really well on the Xbox, I went back to Valve and said, we did really, really well on the Xbox. Can we please be on Steam now? And they said no, but we're launching Steam Greenlight tomorrow. It was literally like I got the email at like 8 o'clock at night, and they were like, we're launching Steam Greenlight tomorrow. We'll let you be a part of that. And so we went into Steam Greenlight, and the first week of Steam Greenlight was a nightmare. Like there was just junk on there. They didn't really know how the system ran, and it really affected our ability to get through Steam Greenlight. So we sat in Steam Greenlight for 18 months. And then finally what I did is I pulled the green light and I made it over, which was like unheard of, and redid it. And then we went through in like 3 weeks. So once we had the ability to go onto Steam, we ported the whole game over to Steam. And we launched on Steam. And the first week we launched on Steam, Total Biscuit did a video about us, and we ended up on the front page of Reddit with a bunch of people criticizing our low effort port over to Steam. And I think this is one of the hardest things as a independent game developer is that you here. I think this is one of the hardest things as an independent game developer because people are constantly criticizing you, which is fine on some level, but sometimes it gets kind of nasty. Especially when you're legitimately trying to serve the customer base and population that you're working for. Like, it's like they're, like we're not trying to, I'm going to put the other, but if I don't click the screen, then people are going to say we have low frame rate. It's kind of a good background. It's kind of cool. So people had tons of criticism for us. A lot of it was legitimate. They didn't like how the game was ported. Our goal at the time was to try to get the game to be in both places, the PC and the Xbox, like almost the same. So when we updated one, we could update the other without any additional work. So that the work that went into one would immediately go into the other. So we took all the feedback into consideration, and we did the big, I don't know what we should call it, the big remake pass of it. There was a big pass where we changed the UI, the textures, all of this stuff. And the result of it was that the negative comments didn't change. People just asked for more things. The sales didn't change. So at that point, we decided to start working on other things. There was a bunch of negative comments on Steam that listed here's the things you should fix. And when we fixed all the things in the list, the negative comments just added extra things to it. So it was like, hey, you need to add this, this, and this. And it's like, okay, sure, we'll do those things. And then when we fixed it, they were like, great, but now also do this too. And we looked at the sales and we looked at everything else, and it had zero effect. So we had 3 months that we could have been making another game or adding features to thing or whatever. It was just a complete waste. So it was demoralizing, and we would get really, really nasty comments at that point. So we just kind of stopped. What's interesting is, to me, over the years, the comments on Steam became progressively more and more positive. I think maybe because the haters just disappeared or whatever, and we ended up with I think we have a mostly positive or very positive review on Steam of the original game, which is great that people did it. Following that, we did have a company that did updates to the game, but we ended up stopping that about a year into doing it. One of the reasons was that one of the last things we had the company doing was trying to do a port, and we had gotten a little bit into the port. They were going to port the game to Unity so that it could go back to the consoles, and we got a little bit into the port, and it wasn't coming along the way I wanted it to, so I ended up pulling the plug on it. And then we got kind of sidetracked with Death Toll that took like almost 2 years to put together. And then a lot of personal stuff happened to me at the end of Death Toll and to everybody else, and everybody kind of just went their separate ways until up until a couple of years ago. Somebody says here, will it feel a lot like the old game? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to maintain the feeling, the look and the feeling of the old game, but still make it look modern. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job of that so far. Like adding things to the game that make it feel more modern, but don't change fundamentally what the game looks and feel like. Are you including the dragons in the remaster? Absolutely, 100%. Including dragons in the remaster. Okay. I'm trying to see how long have we. Let's see how long we've been doing this. Is anybody watching from Twitch? Because we're streaming to Twitch too, and I'm noticing that the part of it is that I'm not doing something properly with Twitch. Don't have a very big Twitch following. Trying to keep a lot of the game to be true to, as much of it as possible, to be as true to the original one. To me, it's a really cool experience to run around in Unreal Engine inside of this, it's the, like, when I think what happened is back at the end of last year, I took an engine mod for, like a plugin for Unity, and I put our world builder through it, and all of a sudden I was walking around in the CastleMiner world, and I thought that was really cool. And then I started doing test renders and decided to do this in Unreal. And once we saw the game running in Unreal, it was like a really cool experience to just see it running with all the real-time ray tracing and modern graphics. Somebody's asking here if we're streaming right now to a couple different places, and they're asking if TikTok and Twitch are the same, and we're simultaneously streaming. But I don't see the only thing is I don't see text from. I should be looking at it. I'm not seeing text from TikTok. I have to look at that separately, and. I should be looking at that, yeah. There's a lot of people here. There's a lot of people on TikTok that are new here. So let's just do a run through the world. I think would be a fun thing to do. Actually, so it doesn't run. Let's remove our crazy dungeons here. And I'm going to just do a quick run through. Especially seems like we're getting a lot of new people from TikTok. Somebody's asking about the release date, and we're hoping it's the end of the year. But ultimately, we'll release the game when it's ready. Somebody's asking about the temperature in the bottom thing. Is like, yeah, temperature is going to be a part of the game. You'll notice that the temperature changes as we move underground and through biomes. So that is something that's changing. Somebody's asking about RTX. Right now, we're targeting real-time ray tracing, but Unreal has the ability to step back. So I ended up changing the tower a little bit when I did the other stuff. I think it's kind of cool to have like a little bit modernized, different tower. Weather is a big deal in the game. Let's throw in some, throw in a thunderstorm. Like a lot of people are saying that the game isn't gloomy enough, but it's only because we run in sunshine most of the time just for testing of the game. Weapons are all stand-in. In fact, most of the models in the game are stand-in right now. I'm just gonna go fly to make this better. I should actually just turn the weather system on. I don't know why the trees are white like that. They're not supposed to be. So you can see that there's lightning and thunder and stuff. Looks really cool at night. Now we're going into the famous sandbar here that separates this from the lagoon. Probably traveling a little faster than I should, giving the world a chance to build up. The lagoon now has these like waterfalls in it. It was something we always wanted, and ponds in the ground. This was something I always wanted, but we didn't have water. This was actually, environment was designed for this, but we didn't have water to put into things. Caves are a lot deeper. Well, we'll do that. Yeah, let's do it. Let's take a little trip through the caves. Caves are a lot deeper than before. Of course, we kind of were in the caves already. We're making a use of the Unreal physics. I think that like the block breaking is pretty cool now. That's like very like ASMR. The breaking effects, the blocks. I kind of enjoy doing it now. Let's just see if we can dig our way down into a tunnel here. Yeah. Caves are like much deeper. The world is way deeper than it was before, and the caves are bigger and more complicated. When you see these light spots down here, that's a bug. Like it's just like we're still designing how the world built itself out. But you can see that the caves are like way bigger than they were and more complicated than they were before. There's underground, we haven't seen it yet, but water and lava underground. Here we go. Get deep enough here, we'll start seeing lava. Some water under here, and the new ores. Much more realistic looking. It's funny, I've been looking at this so long now, I've kind of forgotten how the original stuff looked. This is a good example of a cave that's a much bigger and more complicated cave void. It's actually cool. I should take a screenshot of that. And then we should pop down into hell pretty soon. And yeah, this is the new hell. We did this in a couple different streams. Let's see if we can get back up to the surface. It's cool. You could kind of get all the way to the bottom without digging very much anymore. Let's get. Are we gonna make it all the way to the top? Yeah, these false holes kind of. The other thing too is I'm flying around in debug mode way faster than you would normally be able to move around inside these caves, so the world is kind of catching up as I go. Do you have anything? But you could see the depth. This gives you an idea of the
new depth of the caves. I'll just dig my way up. I think we're probably... I have no idea what this is. That there's a sandbar inside. We must be in a land island inside the lagoon is what's going on. Yeah. Huh, that was cool. That little void down there. It's like, it's fun when your own stuff surprises you. Looks like it's dusk right now. I don't know why the edges are dancing like that. That wasn't happening a couple weeks ago. This might have been to the upgrade to 5.6. I don't think it's going to be much fun to travel at night here. But it's definitely creepy. Let's change this to partly cloudy. Yeah, so we have water in the lagoons. Somebody's asking if the game is going to have controller support. Yes, it will. Aquatic enemies. The more and more water shows up in the game, I think the more and more we're going to need. Somebody's asked if we were the only developer. There's 4 of us, but everybody has a different skill set, and they're also very, very good at what they do. It's a really, really great team. Like the best that I've ever worked with. Like definitely like the hand-selected people that that I love the most in the game industry. Everybody is like veteran game developers that have been around and did some amazing games that you definitely lots of AAA games that you definitely played before. I think some of the games that we've worked on are like Counter-Strike, Half-Life, like Fear games. So we're in the desert here. While I'm out here, let's put I could do a dust storm out here. Like turn my light off, switch it to daytime. And you have some zombies coming up out of the dust here. So everybody, one of the complaints that we get is everything is like too friendly. So this is more of like what the game would be like for real. In fact, if we just put a bunch of these guys, we got some lighting issues there, I see. And you're walking around and these things are chasing you through the snow here. Now let me pop the game audio back on because you can hear this. I don't know how well the mic is picking that up. Actually, wait, this is a better way to do it. Let's, can we do this? No, that doesn't seem to be working. I'll just put the mic back up. Oh, wait. There we go. It's probably pretty loud. Oh, thank you for the donation. So anyways, this is what you're going to be fighting off zombies in a dust storm in the desert. It's not going to be calm. And the weather is really corresponds to, let me lighten this dust storm up a little bit. It corresponds to, like different times and events in the game. So like the weather will be appropriate, obviously, for the biomes. Like, you know, it'll snow in the Arctic and the mountains. Like, as you cross the mountains, it'll start to get snowy, and then by the time you hit the Arctic, you know, you'll be in a blizzard. Or this could be this, or it could just be totally like a clear sky. You can see there's still dust on the ground from the dust storm. Transition zones, we worked a lot on those during the stream, so you could see that these, like, this used to be sort of an abrupt line, but now we're transitioning slowly into the mountains. I'm going to fly through these because it's, as we know, it's kind of difficult to traverse the mountains. And like, here's where we would probably start to snow. We would do like this code is done already, we just have it turned off. You know, as you get into the mountains here, it's going to start to snow. You would hear your old school watch a couple zombies. In fact, we got some skeletons here. They just have crappy animations right now. You can see these guys' reflection on the ice. It's kind of cool. I'm flying here. Let's just play this as it would be played. Then maybe, I don't know, snow gets heavy, turns into a blizzard. What do we call the Overland block around 3400s? We call it the Descent. That was always the name for it, because you were descending into hell. So in the original CastleMiner game, we had that weird greenish sky that was always there. Okay, we backtracked, so let's get through this. Sun is going down here. It's going to be nighttime in a blizzard. This is definitely going to be more interesting in the day. A little light snow. And here you can see we're transitioning. It's cool, you can still see the sun coming through this with the God rays and everything. And we're transitioning into the Arctic. You can notice that the biomes are a lot longer at this point. The only thing I found is the Arctic actually looks really cool in partly cloudy weather. You can see the snow is accumulating here on the ice. Throw a glow stick in a hole. Wow, it really gives you an idea. It didn't look that deep until you threw the glow stick in. It's kind of what I wanted these for, so you could like judge the depth of caverns, like when you're caving.
Somebody's asking about the will there be structures in the descent? It's possible. Where was one of the things where the ice ended up turning out so good. One of the things that we've looked at was putting random structures in places. And here we're breaking into the descent. This used to be a line. I wanted it to feel like glaciers moving down, so I ended up spending a lot of time blending these really well together. I think it turned out great. We can do the crawl down the descent here into hell. Are the aliens still around? We haven't put. They will definitely be back. We haven't put them back in yet. Ooh, this is creepy. Oh, once your eyes adjust, you can kind of see it wasn't as deep as I thought. I'm going to save my glow sticks. Because the world's so much deeper, the descent is actually a lot further right now. So you can, like, this is a, yikes, that was... And it's interesting, you know, I haven't looked at this in a while, but since we put the granite in, we're now going to see pieces of granite. Lantern Land is at the... there is no Lantern Land per se, but it's the Lantern Land thing I'm putting in is at 40,000 units, which I think is really close to where the old Lantern Land was. So you can like bookmark this stream when the game comes out, and you know you'll have that knowledge, that secret knowledge of where it is. But at 40,000 is where you'll find Lantern Land, which is like actually several versions of the world past. Actually, that's what we could do here. I can show you the way that the hex worlds work. Let's just do it while we're on the stream. TikTok, I'm neglecting TikTok over here, which is bad because there's a lot of people over there. Somebody's asking if the temperature will affect the player, and I'd like to work that in at some point. Is this the official game or a mod? No. Okay, so I have to make this clear. I am the original creator of CastleMiner Z, and we are recreating CastleMiner Z for you. CastleMiner Z Resurrection. We have our Steam page up. You can go over to, you can find, oh, here we are, going down everything's starting to break up. Let's just get on the ground and experience this for reals. You can go to CastleMinerZ.com, wishlist us on Steam. That would be something we'd appreciate. It's cool. You can see the division here between the granite and the old rock. We still have a long way to go. There's still a lot of altitude we have to lose here, even after we hit the granite. But go to our Steam wishlist, please, and wishlist us. That actually lets us know. It's such a big deal. It lets us know. It lets publishers know. It lets all these people know that like you're interested in the game and you would like to buy it when it came out. And what that lets us do is it lets us do more with the game because we're confident that people will be there to buy it when we finally do it. We let the sky get dark here when we're going into hell. I think this was probably brighter in the old game, but we're working on ways to get lighting going. But here we are. We've descended into hell now. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to... Let's go off in this direction. I'm going to try to find another world and walk backwards through the world now. So that was one circle in our hex grid. So to be clear about this... That is like, we started here and we're like here now. So we're going to go into the next world. And hopefully all these worlds will be different eventually. Is this the CastleMiner Z remake? It is. You're in the right place for this. I am Thomas Stone from Digital DNA Games, and I am the original creator of CastleMiner Z, and I'm bringing it back. This is... It's not a mod. It's the game from the ground up again. So this is going to be kind of a long trip. So everybody buckle up. And oops, if I crash the game, it's going to be an even longer trip. Okay. I'm trying to point myself off in a direction. Let me explain here. First time I've done this. So I don't want to go through here because we'll end up in this world over here, which is a much further journey. I'm trying to go kind of at an angle so that I end up into the closer world. And I'm using the compass down here in the bottom corner of the screen to accomplish that. But I think it'll become obvious once we are doing this. We are trying to be done by the end of the year. That is our goal. Somebody asked how long this is going to take. And we're making it back up through the world. I'm just going to fly to make this easier. I guess technically it's nighttime. So this is really interesting. And like I was saying before, that the size of the overall world is like 3 times the surface area of the Earth. So you could do this for a really long time. I've been out at 20 million blocks and everything was working fine. Somebody's asking here if there's beds or teleports, so if I die, I respawn to my death spot. We're going to have permanent death. So when you die, you have to delete the game and buy it again. So we're working our way. So in the old days, this would have just been all the biomes repeating in every direction you went. And you'll kind of get that effect again, but depending on what direction you take, you could end up in a different world this time. And you'll actually find another tower, which is going to be hard to find now that I'm thinking about doing this in this way. I think when we get to the very beginning, we're going to have a hard time finding the new tower. And the new towers look a little different. Each one looks like a little bit different than the other one. They're not identical. People are asking about the platforms. I've been kind of neglecting TikTok over here. We're going to release on Steam first, and if it's received well, it'll be really easy to get onto Xbox and PlayStation. But you guys have to do that for us. Yeah, heading into the mountains here. I'm wondering if I can get the bearings right. We have a good chance of finding the. This is definitely not the way. If I could point myself in the right direction. Let's see. I tend to get lost a lot without the compass. See, this is without the compass. I tend to have a really hard time finding my way around. I appreciate all the love. I haven't been responding to this, but you're not gonna have to buy the game again. That was a joke. That was I guess I should have to make that overwhelmingly clear. It's a cool feature down there. Like, I wonder what's in down there. Whoa, it's deep. Yeah, some people are talking about endurance mode. Endurance mode was kind of a it's close to permanent death. It's kind of how endurance mode worked. I wanted there to be a arcadey, replayable experience. Like, that was really kind of how the game was originally designed. That's why all the achievements work in endurance mode. So we're at 8,000. Again, we're making our way. We're not making our way back. We're in a new world now. Flip over and make sure I'm getting TikTok comments. People are asking if we're still going to use the avatars. We're not. I'm sorry. It's not possible anymore. Oh my God. I wish I would have grabbed 2 Cokes. This is a longer stream than normal. How can we help to get the game out sooner? Best thing is to like, share, and subscribe. Like, that's the supporting our social media presence is probably one of the best things that you can do. And I think eventually we're going to spin up some crowdfunding, so that would be cool. I'm kind of cruising over the top of these things, but I think we've seen enough of the lagoon. I always thought this was one of the cooler biomes, especially now that the water is actually in here. Every once in a while, like stalactites form too, which is kind of an addition. We're going through it faster than we should, so the water is trying to catch up with us. What are we at? 10,000 now. So we would only be like a quarter way to Lantern Land if we were doing this. Somebody's asking about abandoned buildings and the pyramids. I have the pyramids out right now. I have to put them back in. But this is cool. We're going to get a cool sunrise. The God rays coming through the stuff. Somebody said, are we on affiliated or partnered on Twitch? We're not. If you guys are on Twitch and you want to drop us a follow, that would probably be appreciated, because we have just started streaming on Twitch. Feels like we've been doing this for a really long time. This is going to be so anticlimactic because I feel like we're probably not going to find the last tower. I feel like I'm kind of like a little off center. Wait, are we back in the desert? What happened? No! I am so confused right now. We must have like skipped over the place we were supposed to go, because we were at like a weird angle. Navigation is interesting. I'm wondering if like we need to have like different compasses for the different worlds we're in. See if I could find the original place I was supposed to go to. I think we're like, somebody's asking what our Twitch name is. I think we're Digital DNA Games. We're streaming right now, so if you were going to look. Okay, so we've made it back to the original world. I'm wondering if we're going to actually be able to find the tower here. And again, this isn't the tower we started at. This is like a completely new tower. This biome is way bigger than it used to be before. I don't think we're going to find it. Somebody's asking about the crashed alien ships, and they are in there already. Just don't have the aliens in there yet. Oh man, where is the? You got to be through this on the other side. Yeah, we missed it. Somewhere in here, we missed the tower. Since this is a circle, we really should be able to just figure out. They used to be really sharp circles, but now they're. I made the borders irregular. In theory, if we just went right here, we should be able to find it. We'll go back one more time, and then I'm going to end the stream. Oh, there it is. We found it. Cool. That is a good answer. And you could notice that this tower is just like a little bit different than the other ones. They're all like just a little bit different from each other. And then it comes purely from like mathematical noise. So they look a little different. But here we are, and you can see on our distance counter that we're out at like 10,000. I think actually... I think we might be here. I was trying to get up to this one, but we might be here. You have to realize there'll be like thousands of these in every direction. Or there is thousands of them in every direction. But here we are. It's cool. Let me take a couple more questions here. And I will tap out. Somebody's asking how many blocks it takes to the end dragon. I think it's close to 8,000 or 9,000 now. What's the next structure after the pyramids? Not sure. I'd love to hear from you. So if you guys could come to either the Discord or the forums and there's also a. Let me show you this. Here, I'll do this while I'm. There is a couple things that I'd like to show you. If you go to our website, first of all, there is a place to submit your voxel creations. So there's a guide to downloading a tool that will let you build things for our things, and you can submit your creations to us directly. I should put an image here of like how that works. There is our merchandise. All of the proceeds for this go to the game. If you want a CastleMiner Z shirt or a mug, you can do that. If you could hit our Steam wish list, that would be great. You could sign up for the beta here too. There's at CastleMinerZ.com. Let me just throw this in the chat. And then there's an FAQ here that has a lot of the information that a lot of people ask. But all the links are here at the website for CastleMiner Z, and you can, and then you could also follow our Kickstarter and notify on launch. It would be great. Like and subscribe, but that is basically the best way to support us right now. I wonder if I could put this here separately on a link here in TikTok. But I appreciate everybody. That was a really great stream. Got to show off the game a little bit more. And come back and we will I'll show you more stuff. Hopefully the dungeons will be in a little bit more by the time we go into the next one. There are plans for player customization. Yeah, if the game is supported, it won't be in release, but if the game has good support, then we will put in a character customization system. Let me see if there's any last second questions on TikTok, and appreciate everybody dropping by. Thank you for coming to the stream. Goodbye.